One.
Hello everyone, Scan here at PlayerOne Esports. On today's episode, we're talking about Devil May Cry Success, some Battle Royale updates, and a little award got given to us this week that we just want to share with you. So all that coming up and more here on this episode of Game Center. Easily last week's biggest release, Devil May Cry 5 has been enormously successful both in the eyes of the fans and in the eyes of reviewers. The game is currently averaging high 8s to low 9s in its reviews, including reviews such as a 10 out of 10 from Destructoid and a 9.5 out of IGN.com. This is the first numbered entry in the Devil May Cry series in over 10 years, and the first entry since the bit of a stumble that was DMC back in 2013. It also brings Devil May Cry back to the top of the mountain of the action hack and slash genre, a genre which had seen its crown pass on to another game that follows a very similar vein, that being Bayonetta. Now, this is a return to form not only for the series, but for Capcom in general, who have been very successful over the past half year or so with very high quality releases such as Monster Hunter World, the remake of Resident Evil 2, and now Devil May Cry 5. And this is very good for them after having stumbled with two straight major fighting game releases in Street Fighter V and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, failing to reach sales figures that they really wanted to reach. It's a very good start to 2019 for Capcom, and things should continue well for them into the year. Now, while it's been teased for some time, we still haven't been able to see anything solid out of Battlefield 5's Firestorm mode ever since the game was launched back in late 2018. That is nothing official until now. It's still unofficial. It was found via a data mine after the most recent update to the game, but the tutorial video for Firestorm has finally made its way onto the internet, and EA is not going to do anything about it. They're just going to shrug. It is what it is. The information is out there. Firestorm is going to be an interesting Battle Royale mode. Most of its quirks are what you have seen in Battle Royales throughout the last year. You're going to parachute in, you're looking for rare loot, the circle is going to close in on you, and the last team remaining, whether it's solos, duos, or squads, wins the match. Pretty straightforward. But there are two things that particularly stuck out to me about this new Battle Royale mode. Number one, you can use a pistol while you are downed, meaning you are not completely defenseless and useless after you have been shot by the enemy. Number two, vehicles. The thing that really separates Battlefield from most other first-person shooters are going to be an enormous component of this game mode, meaning that being aware of which vehicles are where, especially if there's tanks rolling around, are going to be a huge aspect of how this Battle Royale mode works. I'm actually pretty excited for it. I didn't think I would be, but now that I know that I'm going to be rolling around in tanks in a Battle Royale game, it's a nice twist. I'm interested. It's piqued my curiosity. I'm going to be paying attention. In news across another end of the Battle Royale spectrum, Apex Legends saw a pretty major update come to the game this week. Now, Respawn have made it very, very clear that this is not going to be a regular thing. Updates like this are going to be somewhat infrequent. They want these updates to sink into the game and for changes of this matter to only happen when they really need it to happen. I, for one, actually like that approach. I want the meta to actually grow and evolve as opposed to knee-jerk reactions constantly happening due to outcry from the fan base. So, I'm all for it. But in this update in particular, three major things happened. A few weapon tweaks turned down the rate of fire on some top tier weapons to make them not quite so overpowering. A few abilities and cooldowns got tweaked. For example, Wraith got an increase and you had a decrease over on Caustic. But the biggest change by far is that the hitbox of some of the larger characters in the game, like Caustic, who I already mentioned, and Gibraltar, for example, are being made slightly smaller to give them a little bit more of a chance in your average firefight. This could be an absolutely huge change to the game, and time will tell whether or not these hitbox changes might turn these characters from simple bullet sponges into some of the more important and playable characters in Apex Legends. And very quickly, I would just like to congratulate everyone here at BitLoft and PlayerOne, as this week at the Synopsis Short Film Awards in New York City, we won the award for Best Short Form Esports Video for the PUBG 4K Freakout teaser. Now, Trey Bennett, congratulations to you. You did an amazing job on the video. Thank you to Levi, Courtney, and Noah for working on the video as well. You guys have done an amazing job so far. It's very clear that we're only going up from here. Congratulations to everybody, and let's just keep moving forward. That's going to be the first of many awards, we can all hope.
And at last, it came down to just two. The Season 2 finals of the Elite Series were a rematch of Season 1's finals, with Buff Katarina taking on Bloody Gaming yet again in a best-of-5 series. Things started off slow in Game 1, with a flank from Odd Orange kicking things off in top lane about 6 minutes in. A series of back-and-forth trades led to an eventual Rift Herald push on top lane by Bloody 15 minutes in, but that would be Bloody's strongest offensive effort of the match. Less than 8 minutes later, Buffcat had pushed their way out to a 9k gold advantage with 6 towers downed, and from there on, Buffcat would continue to dominate the game, winning Game 1 16-8. Game 2 was a much slower affair at the start, with the teams completely even on gold and without kills until nearly 9 minutes in, where an extended fight on bottom lane went in favor of Bloody Gaming. Bloody would continue to come out of these smaller skirmishes with a slight advantage, with a team fight at bottom lane 13 minutes in giving Bloody a chance to gain some headway, but it ended up being a trade. Another team fight at Dragon 20 minutes into the game would truly tie things up with kill counts at 9 apiece. A solo kill by Aetheriz and a skirmish at Baron would eventually give Buff Katarina an edge over 24 minutes into the game, and from then on the momentum was all Buff Katarina. A second Baron 32 minutes in was all they needed to seal the deal, as an immediate push into base ended things 90 seconds later with a final kill count of 20-13. Bloody had one final chance to claw their way into this set, and things started out wonderfully for them in game number 3. Odd Orange got singled out 5 minutes in to start a cascade of wins, with a huge team fight going 4-1 to Bloody 8 minutes in. Despite getting the first 2 dragons of the game, Buff Katarina find themselves in a huge 12-1 kill, 8k gold deficit after losing skirmish after skirmish. 20 minutes in, Bloody was knocking at the door of Buff Katarina's base, but then everything changed.
Fire Nation attacked.
From here on, Buff Katarina's second win was nothing short of incredible. Teamfights across the map kept going in their favor, and soon much of the momentum was back in their court. Bloody would continue to pressure the base of Buff Katarina and take their fair share of kills and skirmishes late in the game, but the early advantage they had built up had completely evaporated. 37 minutes into this late game, Buff Katarina went for one big push into base, but ended up getting aced for their efforts. This was Bloody's big chance to give Buff Katarina their first ever loss in an Elite Series postseason set, but the damage from that previous fight was simply too great for them to get the window of opportunity that they needed. It all came down to one final fight nearly 40 minutes into the game. Despite being down in the kill count, Buff Katarina took Game 3, the series, and Season 2 of the Elite Series, repeating as champions. Congratulations to Buff Katarina, who have yet to lose a single game in the Elite Series postseason. We look forward to seeing them again in Season 3, which will be kicking off on April 10th. This week's Rocket League 2v2s saw 51 teams vying for a shot at their piece of our $250 prize pool. A number of teams made their mark with impressive play, including the likes of Tomato Juice, the University of Iowa, KC Zoo, and of course, Apollo and Plot Twist. Apollo and Plot Twist met in the quarterfinals of this week's event, with the match going into overtime in game number 3. Plot Twist would force their way into grand finals, facing off against Team Cuties. Plot Twist, made up of Mektos and Taroko, would prove yet again why they are amongst the best players ever in our PlayerOne events, taking the set and first place. Meanwhile, our weekly PUBG Duos event was a hotly contested one, with our top 3 teams separated by a mere 24 points. The Zenith Athletes, made up of Lush and Pitron, were a presence throughout all 4 games, taking first place in the first game and top 5 in games 3 and 4, finishing in first place overall and also taking the Mr. Murder Bear bonus with 20 kills. Second place went to Age Gated and Through, made up of Rello and Shinboy, who finished just behind on the kill count with 19 and took second place in both games 3 and 4. Third place went to another familiar team in Royal WN and the Doomster of GGOD, who ended up with 16 kills overall.
In new video game releases this week, we have one of the most anticipated games of the first half of 2019 in The Division 2, the latest entry in Tom Clancy's long line of video games. LEGO Marvel Collection will also be coming out on the 8th, while One Piece will be seeing yet another new video game coming out also on March 15th. To know everything that's going on here in the PlayerOne Esports ecosystem, give us a follow on social media such as Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Take a look at us over on Discord, and also give us a subscribe here on YouTube and a follow over on Twitch to find out everything that's going on here at PlayerOne Esports. For PlayerOne Esports and Game Center, this has been Scan, press start, and game on, everybody.